Esta é a sua hora. Esse é o seu lugar para aprender como ir para onde você quer e fazer o que você deseja. Fique aqui. Nós vamos lhe ajudar.
You guess where you are and what you plan to do to be where you want to be. Only you know what you need and what you plan to do. It doesn't solve the problem only to wish to. It may help you, but you have to be guided and do what you have to. We are here to help you with English and French and to search for a job in the Canadian market for you to go to this beautiful place to live your life and settle with your loved ones. You will see some language skills to increase your communication abilities.
English speaking skills. Welcome to Canada Smart Mind Speaking for ESL learners to help you learn and practice the skill of speaking English. What is speaking? Speaking is the second of the 4 language skills, which are 1. Listening. 2. Speaking. 3. Reading. 4. Writing. Here are a few examples.
There are 4 aspects to increasing your fluency: grammar, vocabulary, speaking, and listening. Of course, you will feel different impacts from them depending on the type of person you are. Visit our website to have a more specific approach. You know that later is better than never, so act now and start doing a difference in your life. Imagine your speaking skills opening the track for you to pursue your dreams and build a better lifestyle. To achieve this, we will help you. You are going to have grammar and pronunciation. Now, let's see some grammar.
Telephone English. In this lesson, we look at some of the words and expressions that we use for telephoning. There are also some practice sessions and a quiz for you to check your understanding. Telephone English. If you answer the phone and you hear someone speaking in English, don't be afraid to reply. The fear of talking on the phone in a second language will disappear if you practice often. Most people find speaking on the phone in a language that's not their own quite difficult at first because they can't see the other person's eyes, mouth and body movements, or body language. In face-to-face conversation, we communicate not only with words, but also with our eyes, with facial expressions like smiles and frowns, and by moving our hands and bodies. When speaking on the phone, however, all you can use is spoken language. But speaking on the phone will become much easier after you've learned the special vocabulary and phrases in the pages that follow and had a chance to practice them. Telephones have changed a lot over the years. Before the first mobile phones or cell phones were invented over 30 years ago, nearly everyone used phones connected to telephone lines. These lines ran to telephone exchanges in which calls were connected through a switchboard. These landline phones are still being used in some places, but most people now use mobile phones or smartphones. These phones send signals through the air rather than through physical telephone lines. The most advanced phones are called smartphones. These are like small computers with many functions besides making telephone calls. You can send text messages, take and send photos, record and play audio and video files, connect to the internet, and do much more. Even though telephone technology has changed a lot over the years, the language and vocabulary used when making a call has remained mostly the same.
Before you see what else we have to show you, hit the like button and subscribe yourself. By doing this, more people will be helped, and you will see more videos on this. Now, let's keep moving.
Small talk in English. What can we say in casual conversations with strangers or colleagues we meet in the lift? Small talk is a casual form of conversation that breaks the ice or fills an awkward silence between people in most English-speaking countries. It is normal and necessary to make small talk in certain situations. Small talk is a casual form of conversation that breaks the ice or fills an awkward silence between people. Even though you may feel shy using your second language, it is sometimes considered rude to say nothing. Just as there are certain times when small talk is appropriate, there are also certain topics that people often discuss during these moments. Read through the who, what, where, when, why page to gain a better understanding of small talk. The hardest part about making small talk is knowing how to start a conversation. Review the conversation starters and practice them with a friend.
Help us and hit the subscribe button. You will receive the recommendation for our new videos. This will help you and will help us a lot. Thank you. Now let's go back to our video.
The importance of speaking practice. Speaking to yourself can be dangerous because men in white coats may come and take you away. That is why you should make every effort possible to find somebody to speak with. The importance of speaking practice. There are 4 key skills when you learn a language: listening, speaking, reading, writing. Which one of these is the odd one out? Which one of these is different from the other 3? The answer is speaking. The other 3 you can do alone, on your own, without anyone else. You can listen to the radio alone. You can read a book alone. You can write a letter alone. But you can't really speak alone. Speaking to yourself can be dangerous because men in white coats may come and take you away. That is why you should make every effort possible to find somebody to speak with. Where can you find people who can speak English with you? And how can you practice speaking when you are alone? At school, if you go to a language school, you should use the opportunity to speak to your teachers and other students. When you go home, you can still practice listening, reading and writing, but you probably can't practice speaking. If your teacher asks you a question, take the opportunity to answer. Try to say as much as possible. If your teacher asks you to speak in pairs or groups with other students, try to say as much as possible. Don't worry about your mistakes. Just speak. Conversation clubs. Many cities around the world have conversation clubs where people can exchange one language for another. Look in your local newspaper to find a conversation club near you. They are usually free, although some may charge a small entrance fee. Shopping. If you are living in an English-speaking country, you have a wonderful opportunity. Practice speaking to the local people such as shop assistants or taxi drivers. Even if you don't want to buy anything, you can ask questions about products that interest you in a shop. How much does this cost? Can I pay by check? Which do you recommend? Often you can start a real conversation and it costs you nothing. Pubs and bars. Even if you don't live in an English-speaking country, there are often American, British, Irish and Australian pubs in many large cities. If you can find one of these pubs, you'll probably meet many people speaking English as a first or second language. Language is all around you. Everywhere you go, you find language. Shop names, street names, advertisements, notices on buses and trains. Even if you are not in an English-speaking country, there are often a lot of English words you can see when walking in the street, especially in big cities. And there are always numbers. Car numbers, telephone numbers, house numbers. How can this help you? When you walk down the street, practice reading the words and numbers that you see. Say them to yourself. It's not exactly a conversation, but it will help you to think in English. For example, if you walk along a line of parked cars, say the number on each car quickly as you pass it. Test yourself to see how fast you can walk and still say each number. But don't speak too loud. Songs and video. Listen to the words of an English language song that you like. Then repeat them to yourself and try to sing with the music. Repeat the words as many times as possible until they become automatic. Soon you'll be singing the whole song. Or listen to one of your favorite actors on video and repeat 1 or 2 sentences that you like. Do it until it becomes automatic. It's good practice for your memory and for the mouth muscles that you need for English. Above all, don't be afraid to speak. You must try to speak, even if you make mistakes. You cannot learn without mistakes. There is a saying, the person who never made a mistake never made anything. So think of your mistakes as something positive and useful. Speak as much as possible. Make as many mistakes as possible. When you know that you have made a mistake, you know that you have made progress.
Tell us which one you feel is better for you. Now, let's see some pronunciation. To pronounce beautiful sounds, you have to pay attention to vowels and consonants. You will want to sound the vowels vibrating your mouth and nose and consonants posing a stop. At the end of the words, you want to faint the sounds. Hear and imitate the sounds of these extracts as many times as you feel comfortable.
How to address people in English. What should I call you? See word checker below for vocabulary. English learners often feel confused about how to address people properly. Many feel uncomfortable asking the question, "What should I call you?" Even native English people find this question awkward. For example, many women don't know how to address their boyfriend's mother. On the other hand, some parents don't know what to call their children's teacher. First name, surname, family name, last name William Shakespeare, Sarah Palin, Vladimir Putin. Why is "what should I call you" such a difficult question to ask? Perhaps it's because you are asking the other person to provide their status or position in the world in relation to yours. This position may involve age, job, education, religion, and even marital status. Note that for Mr. we say Mr. For Mrs. we say Mrs. For Miss we say Miss. For Ms. we say Ms. In some English-speaking countries, it is traditional for a woman to change her last name when she gets married. However, not all women do. If a woman you know has been recently married, do not assume her name will change. You can safely ask, "Are you going by the same name?" This question gets trickier when a woman gets divorced or becomes a widow. Some women will change their name back to their maiden name. A widowed woman often keeps her husband's name unless she remarries. A divorced woman often changes her name back to her maiden name. If you don't know the woman well, wait for her to tell you if her name is changing. Since English is a language rather than a culture, it is difficult to teach English learners exactly how to address people. There will always be some people and some professions that require more formality than others. Addressing people in writing has different rules and formalities than in speaking. Asking the question if you are unsure of what to call someone, it's best to use a formal address or simply ask one of these questions. What should I call you? What should I call your mom, the teacher, the manager? Can I call you first name? Is it okay if I call you the nickname you've heard others use? What's your name? Use in a casual situation like a party or classroom where first names are used. Answering the question, you might not be the only person wondering about titles. Students, colleagues, or acquaintances may not know what to call you. If they seem unsure about how to pronounce your name, or you want them to call you something more casual, help them out. Please, call me first name. You can call me nickname or short form. Formal titles in English and business situations. Use formal titles unless the people you meet tell you otherwise. To get someone's attention you can say, "Excuse me, sir," "Pardon me, madam, ma'am." To greet someone you can say, "Hello sir," "Good morning, madam, ma'am." The phrase "yes, sir," or "yes, madam, ma'am," is sometimes used by native speakers in a sarcastic way. For example, when a young child tells his father to close his newspaper, the parent might say, "Yes, sir," and laugh. You might also hear a mother saying, "No, madam, ma'am," to her daughter's request for something unreasonable. Here are the formal titles English speakers use. Listen to the pronunciation. Sir, adult male of any age; ma'am, adult female North American; madam, adult female; Mr. plus last name, any man; Mrs. plus last name, married woman who uses her husband's last name; Ms. plus last name, married or unmarried woman; common and business; Miss plus last name, unmarried woman; doctor plus last name, some doctors go by doctor plus first name; professor plus last name. In a university setting, occasionally you may have a close relationship with someone who typically gets called sir, madam, Mr. or Mrs. For example, a business executive, a celebrity, a professor, or a person older than yourself. At some point this person may give you permission to use his or her first name. In English we use the phrase on a first name basis or on first name terms to describe a relationship that is not as formal as it seems it should be. To describe this you would say, for example, Pete's mom and I are on a first name basis, or my teacher and I are on first name terms. Informal titles in English, casual or very close relationships, require an informal form of address. First name, friends, students, children, Miss, Mr. plus first name, sometimes used by dancer, music teachers, or childcare workers. Titles of affection when addressing a child, a romantic partner, or a close friend or family member, usually younger people often use these terms of endearment, also known as pet names. Honey, child, romantic partner, or younger person, dear sweetie, love, darling, babe or baby. Romantic partner, pal, father or grandfather calls male child, buddy or bud. Very informal between friends or adult to child, can be seen as negative.
Now that you have all of these, go to practice and create your own conversation. Go in the description to find our link and go deeper into your study to achieve your dreams. Thank you very much for watching this video, and be sure to be in touch with us. Keep up there and write your story. I'll see you at the next one. Take care. Bye for now.